Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. And yes, finally, I've come to reviewing this piece of Star Wars material. This one Star Wars series on Disney Plus. Because I of course have been looking forward to doing this, and hey, couldn't have picked a perfect time to do this, and as of this upload of this review video, out on Star Wars Day, May the 4th. Yep, couldn't have picked a perfect timing. And I knew because, well, when Star Wars Day was coming up soon, I just knew, well, yeah, I gotta get to reviewing, I gotta get to watching this show, finish watching it and reviewing it, and for it to be out on time for Star Wars Day, and thus, yes. So yeah, that's right, guys. I am finally reviewing, and yeah, just what a fantastic piece of Star Wars material this is. This one Star Wars show on Disney Plus. Yeah, that's right. I'm reviewing Ahsoka. Yes, and I'm not doing it alone, because joining me for this, and yeah, it's good to have him for this, I've got with me, reviewing Ahsoka, Anchorman.
Hello there, everybody.
Yes. So, the first thing is about Ahsoka, and actually just a little background. Ever since Season 2 of The Mandalorian, the live-action debut of Ahsoka Tano, because it had been talked about for quite a while, Rosario Dawson had expressed interest fully in, well, playing Ahsoka, of course, and when it finally became official, dreams came true, not just for us Star Wars fans, and also for Rosario, no doubt about it, well, for her to finally play Ahsoka, and when it was announced that Ahsoka would appear in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, yeah, and when that episode came out, boy, I remember, and I have no doubt about it, you were there too, Anchorman, because when that episode came out in Season 2, finally seeing Ahsoka on screen, Rosario Dawson playing her, just breathtaking, just absolutely breathtaking. And afterwards, the next time we would see Ahsoka, she would make a surprising cameo appearance in an episode of the Book of Boba Fett. And of course, teasing, well, after that, she would go on to have her own show. And thus, well, everybody was so excited. I know we were too, me and Anchorman, when the Ahsoka series was happening, and of course Dave Filoni being in charge of it, and with the addition of Jon Favreau being a producer, and seeing the trailers and, sneak peeks for what was coming up, and when it finally came out, just, yeah, how great of a Star Wars show this turned out to be. I mean, it did not disappoint. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, because there have been some, what they've had to say on Ahsoka, anything, Star Wars on Disney Plus. But at the same time, this show, it was not a disaster at all. It was really good. I'm happy that I finally got to watch the entire show. I did see the first 2 episodes, and then, when the time came, as soon as possible, I had to watch the rest of the show, and, because I had to review it and so on, well, yeah. And I rewatched the first 2 episodes, and from there on, and boy, it was so good. Just so good. Okay, we'll come to you, Anchorman. What are, and also before we read the description / the story, because what I've had to say about Ahsoka, now we'll come to you, Anchorman. What are the first things you have to say about Ahsoka?
I really like this show because it's one of my most anticipated shows, probably of 2023, because I kind of had a sense of what the story was going to be about, if it was going to be like a continuation. One of my other favorite Star Wars shows, Star Wars Rebels. And this show really pays off with what they did with Ahsoka and all the characters we meet, even the newer ones. And
yes.
I think I really enjoyed the show overall.
Me too. Yep, and as I've said. And you remember, because when Ahsoka made her live-action debut in The Mandalorian, did you?
Yeah, I remember. It was back in Season 2.
Yep, and as I said, and from there on, and just, yeah, it's amazing. And what Rosario Dawson has brought to Ahsoka in live action, of course, she has not disappointed. She is definitely the definitive live action Ahsoka, Okay, so with the first things we've had to say about the show, now, as always, read the description / the story. After the fall of the Galactic Empire, former Jedi Ahsoka Tano investigates an emerging threat to vulnerable galaxy. Might have gotten that one word wrong, but I think you guys know. All right, but anyways, so so the total of episodes for this, 8 episodes, and we first have part 1, so we'll start with you, Anchorman, and actually, wait a minute, I should also read the description / the stories. A valuable prisoner escapes New Republic custody. A search for answers reunites 2 old friends. So we'll start with you, Anchorman. What are the first things you have to say about episode 1 / part 1?
I think I really liked this episode. It was like a kind of a slow introduction to like what Ahsoka's up to, and we also see like Sabine. I know I'm jumping characters a bit, but like we see like the return of Sabine, Hera, and I feel like they like come together in this episode while also introducing newer characters as well.
Absolutely. Yep. And anything you have to say because of what goes on in part 1?
I think a lot of stuff happens. We see like the return of Lothal. We see new villains, Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati. We see their characters, and we see the return of Morgan Elsbeth. And I gotta say, I really like the best part of this episode is probably like the look of Lothal. Like it actually looks like a pretty city from what we saw it last time in Star Wars Rebels Season 4.
Yep. And and also because like first off, like the opening to this, like a heck of a way to start off the show, because turns out 2 Sith, and technically they are Sith, Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, if I'm saying the name right, Baylan being played by the late Ray Stevenson, and Shin being played by Ivana Sakano. And let's talk about Ray Stevenson, because who'd have thought, and especially because after he completed, doing season 1 of Ahsoka, and even because, when not D23, Star Wars Celebration, even though D23, of course, having Star Wars, of course, but it's Star Wars Celebration, Ray Stevenson making an appearance, and not long after his appearance, which would be one of his last public appearances at Star Wars Celebration and for the upcoming Ahsoka series, who'd have thought that Ray Stevenson, we would lose him? Do you have anything to say on that, Anchorman?
I was shocked when I learned he passed away, and then I learned he was like in Star Wars Rebels. He played Gar Saxon.
Yes.
And I just was wondering what are they going to do with this character.
Must
be solemn. But I think he gives a great performance, even though it's technically his last.
Yep. And his first and last time playing Baylan. So, and do you remember, because Ray Stevenson, he had a part in the MCU?
Oh, yeah, he was in the Thor movies.
That's right, one of the Asgardians.
He was also in The Punisher. That's not MCU, but it was a Marvel movie.
Oh, yeah, one of the Punisher movies. I almost forgot that he was in one of them. Yeah. And not to mention, because at the end of the episode, there's a dedication to Ray Stevenson for our friend Ray. Yeah, rightfully so. So basically, Baylan and Shin, they basically, invade a rebel ship, and basically they break free Morgan Elsbeth, a witch, part of the Night Sisters, although she used to be, until she's now part of the Night Sisters again, and now a full-blown Night Sister witch later on in the show, until we get to that. And once again, Morgan Elsbeth being played by Diana Lee in Santano, you know me sometimes. So they break her free, and then afterwards we then get the opening title, the logo of the show, and, because what happens next is that, we see because Ahsoka is investigating. It's kind of a bit long, but it's not that bad in my opinion. Because looking for like a piece of that's basically a map on Arcana. Yeah, because Ahsoka visited Arcana shortly after confronting Morgan Elsbeth to search for the map leading to Grand Admiral Thrawn. So that's what it is, and I feel like because that part, maybe it was kind of giving me a little bit of Indiana Jones vibes, kind of, because what she was searching for, and then she's confronted, obviously, henchmen and such of Morgan Elsbeth and so on, and and also we get the live-action debut appearance of Hugh Han. Am I saying the name right? Hugh Han?
Hugh Hang.
Hugh Han, is that right?
Hugh Hang.
Okay,
that's how you say it.
Hugh Hang, yeah. Hugh Hang, who first appeared in Season 5 of Star Wars The Clone Wars, and and it sure had been quite a while since we've seen this droid, and not to mention because, he is once again being voiced by the 10th Doctor / the 14th Doctor, David Tennant himself, and you remember this droid, don't you? And if so, because, what'd you think of for him to, for his return and being a part of the show?
I actually really like what they did with his character in the show, and I really liked him in the Clone Wars, even though he was only in, a few episodes.
Yeah.
But I feel he does a good job in this show, and I like the way he looks in live action. It looks unique from, other droid characters.
Yeah, I mean, especially because that's basically that, because, his look and appearance, the type of looking droid he is, and, even with his first appearance in animation, which being in the Clone Wars still, and, they did a pretty good job, because, how they had to bring a droid into live action who first appeared in animation. So, and they did a pretty good job on that. So, it's great we get more of Hugh Hang in this, and and David Tennant, of course, once again back for this, voicing him, and Ahsoka retrieving the map, even those those droid henchmen, because they fought Ahsoka, but then at one point they self-destruct, and Ahsoka getting out of there, and then of course them returning to some local rebel ships, and basically reporting this to General Hera Syndull, and Hera making her live-action debut and being played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Maybe I got the last name wrong, but you know me sometimes still. Mary Elizabeth, who is the wife of Obi-Wan Kenobi himself, Ewan McGregor. So she plays Hera, and great to see Hera in this, and whom she's played by. What do you have to say on that, Anchorman?
I really like Hera. I loved her in Rebels, and I think she's really good in this show. And to be played by Ewan McGregor's wife, that's also cool.
Yep. So good for her. Good for her to be in Star Wars. Because I'll go ahead and say it, because it's nice to see, because Dave Filoni being responsible, how they very carefully picked the live action actors, playing the live action parts of some of these characters who first debuted in animation. You know what I mean? So, okay. I'm sure you guys get what I'm saying too. But, great to see Hera in this finally, and also, because, again, reporting, telling Hera about this, and, the map, and how, because they can locate Thrawn, and the possibility of Ezra, and, and to speed things up, because on the, good to finally see this planet on in live action Lothal, because Lothal, where we've seen this planet numerous times in Rebels, and which being the current home of Sabine, and Sabine being played by, hold on a second, let me pull this up again. Yeah, Sabine Wren being played by Natasha Lou Bordiso. I might have gotten her the last words / names right. But yeah, Natasha playing Sabine Wren, she did not disappoint. She was really good in this. And it's interesting because how we first see Sabine, because, still having colored her hair and how well she's let her hair down. And apparently because Sabine was supposed to attend this ceremony, whatever, and seeing Governor Ryder Azadi appearing in this in live action, and of course the governor being played by Clancy Brown. And of course, Clancy Brown, he voiced him in Star Wars Rebels, and of course for him to be in live action, and of course rightfully so, have Clancy Brown once again play him. And not to mention Clancy Brown, because he has done a lot of other Star Wars characters, like most notably Savage Opress in the Clone Wars, and I forget the name of that species, but with the horns, because that one character he played in an episode of The Mandalorian. So yeah, he was good in that, and nice to see him play another live action role, which in this case a character that he's on the side of animation voiced. So and wasn't it great to see the governor in live action as well, and for it being Clancy Brown, Anchorman?
Yes, that was very cool. Like, I liked Roger Asafti, even though he was in a certain amount of episodes of Rebels. But to pick him to play his live action counterpart I think that was perfect casting.
Absolutely. So again, Sabine Wren is supposed to be attending, this celebration or whatever. Do you know what it is again? Do you remember what's going on?
It's like a ceremony for the Battle of Lothal that happened in season 4 of Rebels.
Right.
It's like a tribute for it.
Yeah, and Sabine Wren is to be presented and such, but there's no sign of her. Well, and she bailed out on it, Sabine still being stubborn as she is. And that sequence where, she's riding off back to her homestead, and, used to be where Ezra lived, and we hear rock and roll music, obviously this is on a radio or something on the speeder bike she's on, and a couple of Lothal, I want to say officers, yeah, that sounds about right, trying to stop Sabine and telling her to turn back and such. She's really needed for this, and it's not like they're gonna arrest her or anything like that, and them knowing Sabine obviously, but of course she still gets away, even kind of lowering her speeder down, ducking and such, and thus she's back. And it's nice to see, because finally seeing these creatures in live action, even though technically we kind of seen them in live action before. There is one in the Galaxy's Edge, Galaxy's Edge at the Disney parks. Those Star Wars kittens, you know what I'm talking about?
They're the Loth Cats.
Right. To see them in live action, that's great. And how she has one as a pet. And how, well, we technically already in the first episode get the first appearance of Ezra in live action. And, because Ezra, him being played by Amin Esfandi, if I'm getting that right. We can go ahead and talk about Ezra Bridger. What did we think on the casting of Ezra Bridger and for his return in this?
Ezra's easily one of my favorite characters of Star Wars. To see him in live action was a dream come true. And I don't know if I can say this right now, but I got to meet the guy who played Ezra in this show. Yeah, you can go ahead and talk about that. Yeah, it was at a Comic-Con, and it was a quick second, but I didn't get to introduce myself to him, but we just got a quick photo, and it was really nice. And to see him in this show it feels so it's awesome.
Yes.
We don't see him until later in the show, but it's like a dream come true. if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but technically in episode 1, we do finally see him on a hologram image and such, a message. So yeah, that technically still counts. And while we're on that subject, because of what you had to say, for me, because back on my birthday, my dad actually got me a cake that had Ahsoka's face on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, so there's that. It was great. It was a pretty good cake and such. Yeah, so with that out of the way, with what Anchorman and me had to say, back to the show, because, Sabine, back at her homestead and such, technically, I guess that's how you'd call it, and, and to speed things up some more, because Ahsoka paying a visit to Sabine, and, especially since Sabine, apparently in the show, Sabine and Ahsoka have not spoken to each other, or not seen each other for quite a while, and, it turns out, Sabine technically kind of still is, Sabine became Ahsoka's apprentice, and how it seems like, it seems that Sabine may seem like that she may be one with the Force. Not just like her ability, not just like she has the capability like wielding a lightsaber and so on, but she could be Force sensitive and such. Yeah, so again, Ahsoka paying a visit, and also because Ahsoka mentioning to Sabine about the map that she found, and them finding Thrawn, and also the chance on finding Ezra. Sabine, because things are things kind of not really bad, but getting out of hand between Ahsoka and Sabine, and how Sabine wants to take the map for herself. And, Sabine can easily, figure out the puzzles and math and such to this map. And, and even when Ahsoka told her not to take it, and even because Ahsoka had to step aside, and, Hugh Hang, because he analyzed and, was scanning, the lightsabers of these two Sith and such, and how one of them, of course, being Balin, he had actually been at the Jedi Temple and a part of the Order and such. And after that, because Ahsoka, I think even, we should have seen this coming, and same goes for Ahsoka, that Sabine took the map, and thus she went back home. And thus, she does so by figuring out the puzzles and math to the map, and, the correct coordinates to the whereabouts of Thrawn and Ezra. And, not long after that, with her figuring out, more of those, droids under the command and such of Morgan Elsbeth and the two Siths and so on. And, of course, they're under the service of Thrawn. Them attacking her, and then, because Shin stepping in, and, a little lightsaber duel between her and Sabine. And, of course, Ahsoka is aware of this, and her and Hugh Hang, because they make their way to Sabine's coordinates where she's at. And, boy, because this came out of nowhere, because literally, Shin stabbing right through Sabine. That was a really deep cut and such. The lightsaber going through, I guess, one of her hips. Yeah. What did you think on that? We'll come to you, Anchorman, because what do you have to say so far? And with that, towards the end of the episode.
I was shocked when I saw that lightsaber stab. And some people are mad all because of this whole lightsaber stab thing, but it was plot armor, and Sabine immediately got treated for it. So
yes.
I was completely fine that she was survived it, and it was still jaw dropping for me to see. It was a good lightsaber fight though.
We're lucky and she's lucky too, because Shin didn't aim for the chest and the heart.
Nope.
Yep. So at least it was one of her hips and such, but. Good thing she managed to pull through and she survived. But episode 1/part 1 and the title of it, Master and Apprentice, that was a pretty good episode. So episode 2/part 2, Toil and Trouble. Story: Ahsoka and General Hera Syndulla travel to New Republic shipyards and make an unexpected discovery. Okay. Continuing with you, Anchorman, because I'll always start with you first on these episodes. Like, what are the first things you have to say in what goes on in part 2?
Episode 2 is kind of just like our characters investigating what is leading to their various attacks, and we see like Sabine and like Hugh Hang, and we see like a cool lightsaber fight with Ahsoka in this episode. But this episode, I think I like the first episode a lot more than this episode, but I think this episode's like slowly showing its way to the story.
Yeah, I mean, because
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you would consider this your favorite in this season? Your favorite episode?
No. It's like the later episodes. Like this episode's like slowly starting.
Yes.
I feel like, yeah, that's what I meant.
Because we haven't gotten to the good stuff yet, and a little bit later in this season until
it's like setup.
Exactly. So, yeah, in that because, the aftermath of what the heck happened on Lothal, and with the unexpected injury and stab to the hip of Sabine, and because Sabine recovering from her injuries and such, and she still is able to help them out, even though because she really wants to get out there and such, but Ahsoka's not having it, and also trying to figure out on one of those droids, especially because Ahsoka did a little investigation back at the homestead and such where Sabine resides at, and one of those droids happened to still be there, dangling from the ceiling, and Ahsoka, of course, took care of it. And Sabine, getting help from Sabine, trying to figure out this droid and such. And do you remember that part? And do you have anything to say on that one?
Sabine gets healed from her wound by that doctor droid.
Yeah.
And I think she has a conversation with Hugh Hang.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a good conversation where they he's trying to convince Sabine and Ahsoka, I guess, to make up.
Yeah, but that part.
Issues.
Yeah, but that part where she's
fixing the droid.
Yeah, looking at this droid and how it's close to be gonna self-destruct. So.
Oh my.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So and then because they figure out because this one planet, and that is in connections with Morgan, where she used to be at, and that being the planet Corellia. Yeah, Corellia. And Corellia I'll read this. Corellia once built Star Destroyers for the Imperial Navy, but switched to redistributing the parts for the New Republic Defense Fleet. Unfortunately, many of its citizens remained loyal to the Empire following its collapse and secretly worked to supply ship components to Imperial projects. This makes Han Solo's backstory more tragic, since Corellia was his homeworld. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Corellia... If you remember this, Anchorman, Corellia was first appeared in the Solo movie.
It's Korriban, but yeah, I remember it.
Okay, just making sure. So okay, but continuing, because Hera and Ahsoka, they meet up on Corellia, and I am saying that right, Corellia.
It's Corellia.
Corellia. That sounds about right. Yeah, Corellia. Sorry, so you know me sometimes, guys. So Corellia, they make their way to Corellia, and in episode 2, in this one, we do finally get the... Well, technically, he already appeared in live action in that quick cameo in Rogue One, but we get to see him fully. Chopper.
I love Chopper.
Yep, so of course you gotta have Chopper, so... And of course seeing the Ghost, and technically the Ghost ship, that too made a quick cameo appearance in Rogue One in the Battle of Scarif, so yeah. So it was...
It was also in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, apparently so. So seeing the Ghost ship, of course, and how they meet up with this one guy who's working at the shipyards and such, and because Yeah, you kind of, yeah, Min Weaver, being played by Peter Jacobson. And he seems a little bit suspicious, I guess. Like, when you can, I mean, and for us audiences, like, knowing and suspecting something about certain characters and something about Weaver, just, like, and do you have anything to say on Weaver?
I kind of already knew he was going to be the bad guy. You could kind of just get this sense that he was going to betray our fellow characters.
Exactly.
And he did.
Yeah, and how, well, Weaver, like, Hera insists that, he takes them through all this, and, like, because in connections and ties with Morgan, and, well, he has no choice but to do so at a certain point, and thus, and do you remember what that's all about? Do you remember? Because with what they're with what they're talking about.
I think, I'm sure they're talking about, like, what they're doing with the, like, scrap of, like, the various battles.
Uh-huh.
And, like, I think he's, like, they get suspicious that he might be a secret Imperial who, like, betrayed the rebellion.
Yeah.
And then joined the Empire, and that's basically what happens.
Yeah, and one of the droids C1D1, I'm pretty sure that's the one, and being voiced by Shelby Young, and how she's been doing a lot of Star Wars stuff, and very big on social media, especially on TikTok. So CD1D1 mentions something about them and how, well, because you can kind of see, because some workers, they're kind of looking and such, and, well, because some of them, well, being loyal to the Empire, and of course Ahsoka and Hera, they take care of them, and, well, Weaver, of course, being caught, and Ahsoka, like, there's this cargo ship or whatever, departing, and, well, because Ahsoka and Hera, they have to chase it down, and for Ahsoka, taking on a couple of those other, like, tough droids, and, well, once again, because, Shin being there again, and, well, a good lightsaber duel, like, anything on that lightsaber duel?
Isn't it like, where Ahsoka fights Shin, or, like, once Ahsoka fights Merrick?
She fights Shin in this one.
Yeah, it's a good duel.
Yep.
I think it's, like, quick or something.
Yeah, it is. And for Hera and Chopper, chasing down that departed ship, obviously connected with what's going on with Morgan and so on, and of course Thrawn. And, well, luckily, because it's pretty funny, especially Chopper just going through his stuff, trying to find, like, a tracking beacon and such, and thus, yeah, throwing a tracking beacon, and, the close they get to the ship, and right before it's going to go into hyperspace, throwing the tractor beacon, and thus it's attached to the transported ship, and thus it descends hyperspace and so on. So mission accomplished on that. And those in the shipyards on Corleale, yeah, most of them being arrested, those still loyal to the Empire, even poor Weaver. Well, Weaver, him still being loyal to the Empire, so go figure. Yeah, so, and then, because for Sabine, well, by this point, and to speed things up and to wrap up on part 2, because, well, she's doing much better, and, well, because what she does next is, well, she goes back to her homestead where she resides at, and, well, because that's when we see that, by this point, she cuts her hair and she goes back to short hair. And, well, because that's when she now joins alongside with Ahsoka in search of not only Thrawn, but especially Ezra. So, and a little callback, obviously, with what happened at the end of Star Wars Rebels. So, yes, so anything else and last things to say on part 2?
I feel the ending, I actually like how it parallels that end scene of Rebels Season 4, and it made me realize that Ahsoka was happening during the end of Star Wars Rebels. Like, it's a nice connection if you really think about it.
Absolutely. So, part 2 was a pretty good episode. So, with that out of the way, well, now we come to episode 3, which being part 3, Time to Fly. Story: Hera tangles with New Republic politics, while Ahsoka and Sabine Wren voyage to a distant planet. So, once again, come to you, Anchorman. What do you have to say, and what are the first things, and what you have to say, what goes on in Part 3?
This episode, I don't think it's my favorite of all the 8, but, like, this episode is, like, probably the shortest, but, like, I think it sets up, I think the ending of this episode sets up what we're going to be getting, which we're going to talk about, but, like, it has some nice stuff in this episode. Like, we see the first appearance in live action, like, Hera Syndulla's son, Jason Syndulla, and we get a few cool, like, fight scenes in space, but yeah, this is a pretty decent episode. I'll let you discuss.
Yeah. So, yeah, this episode was pretty good too, and how Ahsoka, Sabine, and Huyang, they're traveling to the coordinates to, where they're supposed to go, mostly because in this episode it's just them making to their destination up until at the end of the episode they finally land. Not only that, but, more with Hera, and yeah, in this episode, we finally get the live-action appearance / debut of Jason Syndulla, and being played by Evan Whitten. I think I might have gotten that right. And because anything more we have to say and with, who they got for live-action Jason Syndulla?
I was wondering what they were going to do with Jason in this show. I just knew he was going to be in this show, but the way they did him, I think they did good. Even though he's not in many episodes, but what they did was like a nice setup for future stories. I hope we see him again, though.
Oh, no doubt about it. And we get the returning appearance of Mon Mothma, once again being played by Genevieve O'Reilly. I think, I got that right. And it was great to see her again, once again, as Mon Mothma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like she's in like the post Return of the Jedi era. We're seeing like an older Mon Mothma.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. It doesn't matter, especially since, because a different actress played Mon Mothma in Return of the Jedi. That doesn't matter, so...
yeah, they just made her look older. That's it.
Yeah, and I think for how they made her up in Ahsoka is pretty good, so... yeah, and it's just, if I have or if I've not said this before, because it's great to see that, they brought back O'Reilly to, do more of Mon Mothma, because, with her first playing Mon Mothma in a couple of those deleted scenes in Revenge of the Sith, and how she did technically still make it into Revenge of the Sith and so on, and, for them bringing her back and to once again play Mon Mothma, and the more we got of her, starting with, Rogue One and in the Star Wars shows, that was great on their part, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree.
And how she just totally nails playing Mon Mothma.
Yeah, she was also in Andor.
Yes, Andor. Yep, so there's that, and also because more other, like, senators, because, well, it never fails. It just never fails in Star Wars with the senators and such, the politics in Star Wars. Most of them, and pardon my French, just, sometimes some of them just being complete assholes. Especially...
Yes, I agree.
What's that?
I agree.
Yeah, especially one of them. Oh, yeah, he's the biggest one in this. Senator Sono. Did I get that right?
You might have.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, of course, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, him being played by Nelson Lee. Now, I'll of course admit, and there's no denying, Nelson Lee was good in this, and he was so good at playing this one character, this senator, who was just such a dickhead. You know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was in Star Wars Resistance, too.
Okay. I think I might have, maybe, I guess I didn't realize. Yeah, so... basically because they are, and because talking about like what's been going on and like this, like what the senators have to say about the possibility of Thrawn's return and the whereabouts of Ezra, and how especially Senator Siono, because doubting this and so on, seriously. Yeah, but at least from what I can tell, because Mon Mothma, she seems to be, a really good senator and such, and I think she too finds what Sono, what he's saying, kind of ridiculous. Like, don't you think so?
Yeah, I agree. He is like denial of whatever is going on.
Yes.
With our main characters.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also to mention the other senators, because there's Senator Rodrigo. Yeah, I got that right. Played by Jacqueline Aman, if I'm even getting the full name right, and Senator Mawood, being played by Mo Irvine. Yeah, really not that much on them. I mean, a little bit on Senator Mawood, but still, I think there was one of a calamari. I think I might be wrong, but one of them being a creature, an alien. So, anyways, and good chemistry between Mon Mothma and Hera, and with what's going on, and even Mon Mothma thinking that it sounds like it could be true, because with Thrawn's return and so on. Coming back to what's going on with Ahsoka and Sabine, and we'll come to you, Anchorman, anything else you have to say and with what goes on with them all, and as they're making their destination to the planet they're supposed to go?
I think it's like a big space battle where they're trying to get away from Shin and Merrick, and it's meant to be their way of doing space battles.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, because that was a pretty cool scene, because them taking on Shin and the other droids. Do you remember the specific name of those type of droids?
I forget. They were kind of reminding me of temple guard droids, the ones you'd see in I don't know, the Fallen Order games,
or or even similar to those droids that served under General Grievous.
Yeah.
Something that's a good example. They're those kind of droids that can be tough. So they're basically a space battle, and to speed things up, how towards the end of this battle, because Ahsoka stepping out in space in a spacesuit, and how she took care of them, that was pretty cool, don't you think?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So, and to speed things up and to finish up part 3, I should say, because they finally touched down on this planet, because which being, let me pull that up. So, come on. So, okay, yeah, so it's Sitos, if I'm saying that right, yeah, and I'll read the description of it. A dark world with oceans, rocky surfaces, and red forests. Sitos, once inhabited by the Dathomiri, what is the name of that again? Am I saying it? I might be saying it wrong. Do you know what that word is I'm trying to say? Dathomiri, if I'm probably so, okay. An ancient people from a distant galaxy, and Lady Morgan's ancestors. Yeah, obviously the witches. This civilization left behind a Magenism powered by a star map that revealed the pathway to Paradis, which could guide travelers to the other galaxy. The language identified in Ahsoka's end credits suggests a connection to the ancient Sith, while some images seem to represent the Purgile that took Ezra and Thrawn into hyperspace. Further exploration of their history on Sitos will likely rewrite the Star Wars timeline and open new storytelling possibilities for the franchise. Yeah, so they arrive on this planet, and is there anything else left to say on what happens at the end of part 3?
We see the Purgle, which was nice. It was a nice like a reference to what could we be seeing with like Ezra and stuff. And I think it just ends with like Balin announcing his plan or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and am I getting the name of that planet right? Cetos? Does that sound right?
It might be right. I don't know. I'm not good at saying things.
Me too. You're not alone, because I've said, I have trouble with some certain words. You have. My dad has. I've said this before. But anyways. So, episode 3, part 3, which being, Time to Fly. That was a good episode, and of course, still, things are getting better as this show proceeds. Now we come to episode 4, part 4, Fallen Jedi. Story: Hera risks her career to help her friends, while Ahsoka and Sabine confront enemies. Okay, once again, come to you, Anchorman, because what are the first things you have to say with what goes on in part 4?
Okay, this is where the show gets really good, as we see our characters like go through the journey they're ready to go on to like meet Ezra, confront Thrawn, and like this episode's like a big like lightsaber duel episode.
Yes,
it's very entertaining to watch.
Yep, and because with part 4, The Fallen Jedi, because, well, by this point, they've landed on the planet, and so much that happens, because, them, coming face-to-face a little bit later on with the 2 Siths, and also, on the side with Hera and such, how kind of having no luck, with trying to get help and such, but eventually, because they do, and even because Captain Carson, he, of course, is in this. Good to see Captain Carson. I mean, was it you too? Like, it was great to see Captain Carson in Ahsoka.
Yeah, it was like a nice connection to the Mandalorian.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So, so Captain Carson, once again, being played by Paul's son, Huang Lee. Yeah, I got that right. Captain Carson Teva, because he and a couple of other X-Wing pilots, they tag along with Hera, and also Jason and Chopper, they tag along as well, and thus they proceed on to, again, the location of the planet that they're at. Do you have anything to say on that? Because with what Hera and a couple of other rebels do, kind of going off and, like, kind of disobeying orders or something, anything to say on that?
I think it shows, like, Hera has a good heart, because she's willing to risk her own career just to help Ahsoka and Sabine find their way towards their goals.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that even Captain Carson, he too is risking his career as well. And I think the same, because if I remember correctly, he kind of did something similar to what he did in season 3. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he was in season 3.
Yeah, because, like, the whole thing, and you know what, it is mentioned later on in Ahsoka, because Carson mentioning to the Senate and such about the court, about, like, what happened of the Mandalorians and such, that happened in Season 3 of The Mandalorian, but until we get to that and what goes on in a later episode of Ahsoka. But back to episode 4/part 4, because, they proceed on to the location of the planet, and, because, again, them on the planet's surface, and, still, and for Ahsoka and Sabine, still, because from time to time, like, them kind of bickering and such, and I'm sure you know what I mean by that, Anchorman, and, and even, Huyang, he is very insistent on Ahsoka and Sabine staying together, and that's what they need to be doing. Although, because what happens a little bit later on, so, I mean, it's not that they intentionally do so, obviously because of who they're coming face-to-face with, and of course, like, and to speed things up on episode 3, because them coming face-to-face with, of course, Shin, a little lightsaber duel between Ahsoka, and also Sabine stepping in, and, Ahsoka proceeding on, retrieving the map, because on that planet, they're basically... Do you remember exactly what it is that they're doing with that map on the planet?
It's like they're trying to find their way to get to like Thrawn or something. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So Ahsoka getting there, and well, she comes face to face with Balin Skull, and an interesting conversation that goes on, especially Balin mentioning and a callback to, well, because his days in the Order and knowing Anakin Skywalker. Anything on that too? Because with Balin mentioning Skywalker and so on.
I think that's potential for another story. We could see like Anakin and Balin meeting, but I don't know what could they do since Ray Stevenson passed away. I don't know.
Yeah, and Balin, because he mentions about Ahsoka Anakin to Ahsoka, and how he says to Ahsoka that Anakin spoke very much about you, etc. And I just tell you how Balin, he's just so calm, and how how he interacts with Ahsoka, especially. Do you know where I'm going with that?
Yes.
I tell you, just like it's really good. It's really good. I do like that. And of course, sure enough, a lightsaber duel between them. And at one point, because, yeah, Sabine technically did defeat Shin at one point, and, well, Sabine making her way to help Ahsoka, and Ahsoka, like, trying to take down Balin, and her retrieving the map, the golden, like, ball, and so on, and how kind of, like, destroying it and trying to whatever, and how it's burning, it burned her hand, and yeah, and so, and then because, well, Sabine having Balin at gunpoint, and Balin, he caused Ahsoka to, fall down off a cliff and such. Does that sound right?
Yeah, she did fall off that cliff.
Yeah, obviously because of the cause of Balin. And what happens next is, Balin convincing Sabine to join him and join them and so on, and he promises that they will find her friend Ezra and such. And, Sabine, she goes along with this and giving back the map and such to Balin. Anything on that part?
I think she did it just so she can find a way to get to Ezra. I didn't think she was trying to betray Ahsoka at all.
No.
She could find Ezra.
Yeah, because Sabine, of course, she really wanted to reunite and find Ezra. That's what it was, and it's understandable. But of course, she really should have seen it coming, because what they would do and such. So, yeah, and even Shin, when she steps in, she, kind of force chokes Sabine and Balin, telling her to stop and such, and, because Sabine tags along with them, and they proceed on their destination, and, because what happened to Ahsoka? Where did she go? Well, clearly she landed in the water, but what happens is, we do see her, and, because with water and such, however, you start to realize, something in the background and such, and, where is she, Anchorman? You tell us.
It looks like she's in the world between worlds, what we saw in Star Wars Rebels.
Bingo, because that's what happens. We once again see the world between worlds, which first debuted in Rebels, and, Ahsoka, she starts hearing a familiar voice, and by calling her Snips. And, because when she gets up and she's hearing that familiar voice, and behind her, she turns around, it's Anakin Skywalker. Frickin' Hayden Christensen, once again playing Anakin Skywalker, and not long after, he returned to the role of Skywalker in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, because he's once again back for this, and it was great to rightfully so, see him in the Ahsoka series. Anything on that, Anchorman? What you have to say?
My jaw dropped when I saw Anakin. I just knew it was coming, but it was still very awesome to see Hayden Christensen still willing to play Anakin.
Yes, absolutely. Pretty much everybody else, because reactors on YouTube who have reacted to Ahsoka. Have you seen those, Anchorman?
I don't really watch reaction videos, but I kind of just assumed everyone would be excited to see it, and they definitely were.
Yeah. Well, for me, because, like, I really enjoy some reaction videos to anything Star Wars. That and also Marvel, because, yeah, anything Star Wars and Marvel that has come to Disney Plus, those. So, those who, reacting to Ahsoka, and here's the thing, because, like, before I continued watching Ahsoka, I just seen a little bit of what they've reacted to, especially when it came up to Anakin appearing in the show. I didn't watch that much of their reactions, and obviously because they would be showing the footage, so I did my very best and was very careful not to be spoiled, okay? However, because, I of course already knew, and because of some of some reactors reacting to Ahsoka, because of what was going on in the world between worlds and with Ahsoka and Anakin, and of course, just knowing who was playing young Ahsoka, because we see young Ahsoka in the next episode. But yeah, what a great way to end off episode 4/part 4, Fallen Jedi. Do you have any last words to say on part 4?
I think the lightsaber duels are really cool in this episode. They were probably some of the best we've seen in a while.
Yes. So, yeah, I couldn't agree more right there. Part 4 was a really good episode 4, etc. And how, like we said, how things are getting good in Ahsoka, and especially up to episode 4. And in episode 5, things get heck of a lot better, much better. Episode 5/part 5, Shadow Warrior story. Ahsoka confronts her past, while Hera and her allies undertake a rescue mission. Okay, Anchorman, take it away. What do you have to say?
Okay, so this is easily some of the best Star Wars we've seen.
Yes.
Even though it could probably be called fan service, but I don't care, because we literally get live action Clone Wars, live action Young Ahsoka, live action Captain Rex. We get a ton of good stuff to be a fan of Star Wars for sure.
And seeing a little snippet, just a little bit of, in live action, the Seat of Mandalore, that battle.
Yes, that too. I really love that too.
Yeah, so basically, and with what's going on in part 5, because Ahsoka once again meeting her old master, and basically Anakin is giving her one last bit of training. Anything you have to say on that and to better describe it?
I love that scene where Anakin says, one's never too old to learn. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I think because in the end of that, it's basically about life and death, and because Anakin having a little bit of a lightsaber duel between Ahsoka a little bit later on, and because there's one moment where she falls, and where we see her at, because it's all foggy and such, and because this is where we see young Ahsoka, and young Ahsoka being played by Ariana Greenblatt. I think I got that right. And Ariana, she previously played another young version of a character on the side of Marvel. And in case you did or did not do not remember Anchorman, because she was young Gamora in Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and also being in Barbie, she had a role in Barbie, and that one film that she's in, the one with Jack Black and Jamie Lee Curtis. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I'm not sure, but she was in a movie called 65 with Adam Driver, who played Kylo Ren.
Yeah, that too. That too. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. But the one movie that she's in with Jamie Lee Curtis, Jack Black, and such, I'll put a text, caption of the name of that movie. It is based off of a video game, so it's a video game movie adaptation, I should say. So yeah, so her as young Ahsoka, she didn't disappoint, right? As young Ahsoka.
Yeah, she was really good. I was surprised how little Ahsoka was, even though she is portrayed as a little older in the animated show.
Yeah. And I feel like mentioning this because I saw this, even I think I most notably saw this on Facebook, and maybe you have too, Anchorman. I don't know. And if you'll follow along with what I'm trying to describe and say, because I think for some people, them just going why is like she like a young girl and such, and in a war and in battle and such? Well, because in the Clone Wars, that's how old she was. Like she was 14 and 15, whatever. Are you following along? Do you know what I'm talking about? And if you've seen that?
Yeah, I may have heard something like that, but
okay,
I totally get what you're saying.
Okay, good. Well, because again, just like because of what happened in the Clone Wars, how old she was at that time, so duh. And it doesn't matter on the voice, Ashley Eckstein. Okay, that's not what's important, and so on. If you know what I'm saying. But yeah, just an Ahsoka and an Anakin, like they're in the Clone Wars, and and seeing the clones actually there, I'm pretty sure, because they were practical on there, because practical clone trooper suits, unlike in the prequel films from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, they were all computer animated. I mean, that was cool to see them actually on screen, like actual suits, right?
Yes, it was actually really cool the way they did the clones in this episode.
Yes, and because and how it keeps, like, it kind of changes a couple of times, like, especially because with Ahsoka's wardrobe and such. Well, and especially because, I mean, there is a moment, because after, like, a battle that's taking place, and, because Ahsoka talking with Anakin, because, talking about those fallen clone troopers and such, and Anakin assuring her and so on. And then, and to speed things up, because, we see the Seed of Mandalore, and Ahsoka in her getup in Season 7 of the Clone Wars, and Seven Fingers, with the blue lightsabers, and of course, seen Rex present, and of course it's Tamara Morrison as Captain Rex. I mean, it says, like, on IMDb here that he did the voice of Captain Rex, but I'd like to think maybe possibly he was actually there on set in the Rex gear, probably, but that was great seeing Rex, right?
Yes, it was easily awesome to see that.
Yeah, and more on Rex, because I remember, and I know you do too, and for everybody, when it was announced that, Rex would appear in Ahsoka. However, he did not appear, was not actually there, he was not there, like tagging along with Ahsoka and the others and such. Like, he was not there. You know who else wasn't there? Zeb. He was not there too. Although Zeb, he did finally appear in live action when he made a cameo in one episode of season 3 of The Mandalorian. So we already got to see him in his live action debut, and how he looks in live action, really good. But yeah, just both Rex and Zeb not being present in Ahsoka. Do you have anything to say on that, Anchorman?
I really wish they were in this, but I don't know how they could have. Maybe they didn't add them because they didn't know how to fit them in the story they were trying to do, like Sabine and Ahsoka. But if they do a season 2, I for sure think we'll see them.
Yeah, and, as you're watching this, by now, because of season 2, but I couldn't agree more, and yeah, you said it best, like, probably because, if they had, maybe they just couldn't fit them in Ahsoka for this season, and, overall, because, with them not being in season 1, it worked out good. It worked out good with them not appearing and such. It worked out fine. And, always, do your best, if you can't fit in any of these characters and such, and if you get what I'm saying, yeah, so, but obviously, I think, for Zeb, and obviously, because it was, it's obvious, and with his appearance in The Mandalorian, because, obviously, him still being in the Rebel Alliance, and his position in the Rebel Alliance, I think, is understandable. That's the best way to put it. And maybe the same goes for Rex. I mean, because I don't think we really know exactly what happened with Rex after the Empire, was defeated, and after the events of Return of the Jedi, where, it is official, because Captain Rex, he now went by Commander, it's official that he was present, and he was there on Endor with Han Solo and Chewbacca and Leia Organa, because, anything on that?
That was very cool. When they announced that, and some people had issues with that, but I don't have an issue with it. If they want to put Captain Rex in the Battle of Endor, then that'd be cool with me.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so there's that on Zeb and Rex. But back to the episode, because, even Anakin popping up once again, and how, because he was not present on the seat of Mandalore, and Ahsoka describing, what was going on, and, Anakin complimenting her and such, but things kind of make a dark turn and such, and, because things get a bit heated between Anakin and Ahsoka. Do you have anything to say on that part?
It's I think, when they're talking about the Siege of Mandalore, I think it leads to them continuing on with their little duel and the lesson.
Yes, exactly. And also, it's really cool where, basically, because we get flashing images of, from Anakin, flashing images of, of Darth Vader. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seeing Darth Vader, the suit and such, and even because we once again come back to older Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson, and a lightsaber duel between them, and another flashing images of Vader, and how you can just about hear it, the Darth Vader voice in Anakin, yeah, and of course his lightsaber being red, and just giving her more training and such, and a lightsaber duel between them, and up until because I think, she grabbed a hold of his lightsaber, and basically, she said to him, she chooses to live. And I think by, that point, her training is complete, right?
I could say so.
Yeah. And what happens next, because, Anakin disappearing, and then, she kind of, falls down or something, and, water starts to rise, and, she was in the ocean the whole time, and, sure enough, and before we get to that, because with what's going on with Hera, Jason, and Chopper, and because when they make their destination, and they meet up with Huyang, because, he's there, and, he had to stay behind, guarding the ship and such. And by the way, it was a nice moment to see where Huyang took on one of those tough droids, right?
Yeah, it was a challenge for him.
Yeah, it's nice to see, because Huyang being a tough droid, and kind of he's being a badass droid, so it's true. And he when he's there, the location of where Ahsoka and Sabine were, they were last there, because he retrieved Sabine's Mandalorian helmet, and even when Hera she landed and told Jason to stay there, and her finding Huyang, and because one of the first things Huyang says is that, he told them to stay together and so on. And of course they technically didn't. And also because this is where, Jason, because he is Force sensitive, and because like his father before him, being one with the Force, being a Jedi, Jason having the Force, and how he can sense out in the ocean Ahsoka's presence. He can hear the waves and how they sound like lightsabers. Anything on that?
I always wondered what was that leading to. I wonder if Jason could be Force sensitive because he's hearing the battle going on.
Anchorman, it's been established, and as I said, he is Force sensitive. He has the Force in him.
Yeah, I'd like to see that more though.
We're going to. I have no doubt about it. We're going to. Just be patient.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, and to speed things up, because, and also, by this point, and especially because, Captain Carson is informing Hera, because, big rebel ships are making their way, and Hera telling them to distract them and hold them and such, and, because, and thus, the X-Wing pilots, those who tagged along with Hera, they do find Ahsoka, because, coming up to where, Ahsoka is rescued, and she's recovered from the ocean, and, and then, the next day, because, she wakes up, and she is on the Ghost ship, this is the first time we see Ahsoka, her headpiece is off her. Anything on that?
I realized it was off, and then I realized how different she looks without it.
Yeah, how her species, how they look without those. I mean, Well, clearly, it's obvious that we know that their headpieces, those on her on their heads, they're a part of their body and their head, and that's apparently it's official because and it's confirmed how they look without them having those headpieces. But I think it's obvious they look a lot better with those headpieces, don't you think?
Yeah, they do.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. But, nice to actually, for once, see that with, Ahsoka not having that. So, anyways, the same kind of goes for the Twi'leks. Yeah, the Twi'leks, because they have something like that, too. So, anyways, So Ahsoka waking up and, because, her once again, reuniting with Hera, and also, seeing Jason once again, and how, because Jason, it's thanks to Jason that he located where Ahsoka was, and how, asking her what happened, and because he heard lightsaber sounds and such. And, because Ahsoka and Hera, they have Hugh Hang take Jason aside on the ship and such. It's pretty funny. And, and Hera asking Ahsoka, what happened with Sabine and so on. And Ahsoka doesn't know until she picks up the piece of that map that was burned and so on. And she is, sensing, and she can hear the voices of what happened after she fell down the water and such, and because she can hear the voices of Sabine and Balin, and now she knows what exactly happened. And even though she technically did not tell Hera, although she did tell Hugh Hang later on. But to speed things up and to wrap up episode 5, because, by this point, those space whales have shown up. Anything on that and with the space whales?
They're really interesting characters in Star Wars. They're unique because they can literally travel anywhere. They can go into hyperspace, and that's what makes it cool when they finally find those whales Ezra used in the finale of Rebels. Yep.
And, because the space whales are their key to finding Thrawn and Ezra, and thus, because them catching up with the space whales, and also coming face to face with the biggest one, and Ahsoka making contact with the big one, and sure enough, the space whales are gladly able to help them make their destination to find Thrawn and Ezra, and by doing so, because the biggest one, allowing them to fly in its mouth, and by this point, because some of the big rebel ships have arrived, and Captain Carson trying to, keep them aside and distract them and such to hold them off. He can't really at first tell them what's going on and what Ahsoka and Hera are doing, but then he proceeds on telling them, and even though he tells the one captain that, that she'll probably won't believe him, and, when he tells her, and then, they do get to see the space whales arriving, and thus they're about to make their destination going into hyperspace, and thus that's what happens. All of them prepare to go into hyperspace, and thus Hugh Hang and Ahsoka, both of them are on their own to not only find Thrawn and Ezra, but also to find Sabine. Yep. And not to mention, because we've almost forgot to mention this, because with Baylan Skoll and Shin and Morgan, they have this giant hyperspace ring. Anything on the giant hyperspace ring?
It reminds me of the ring the Jedi would use whenever they use their starfighters.
Well, yeah, that's basically what's supposed to be. However, this hyperspace ring being so big, this hyperspace ring being used for big ships, of course, the Star Destroyer that we see a little bit later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how, it's kind of also reminds me, it's kind of an example, because if you remember in the Book of Boba Fett, Din Djarin was on this giant, ring base. I don't know the specific name for it, but you know what I'm talking about, right? That was in the Book of Boba Fett?
I think so.
Yeah, that. I think a lot of people say that I think that to some people that reminded them of something from Halo, but I can't deny that. So, anyways, but to wrap things up on episode 5, because that was a pretty good episode with what was going on, and well, where it ended off, we know where they're heading to. And any last words on episode 5?
It was probably, like I said, some of the best Star Wars we've seen because of the respect towards like the Clone Wars and Anakin and Ahsoka. That's probably the best part of this episode for sure.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, if not, it's one of the best episodes of season 1 of Ahsoka, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Especially its rating, because as always, having IMDb, like, its rating, yeah, for sure.
9 out of 10.
What's that?
It's like a 9 out of 10.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly right. So yeah, episode 5 / part 5, Shadow Warrior. Great episode, fantastic. Yeah, it was really good. Okay, so with that done, episode 6. Let me see. Yeah, only 3 episodes left. So yeah, 5 down, 3 more to go. Episode 6, Far, Far Away. Story: the search for Grand Admiral Thrawn reaches beyond the limits of the galaxy. Okay, Anchorman, starting with you, of course. What do you have to say on so far on part 6?
It's like it doesn't really have Ahsoka in it, but like what they did with this episode was really exciting because we finally get to see like Thrawn and Ezra. I know that's like already in the episode later, but like it's felt so satisfying to see them in this episode. Like we're finally getting the answers we've been waiting for a while since season 4 of Rebels. And yeah, that's what I really love about this episode.
Yes, and for me, because, this was pretty good, and, well, I mean, because at the start of it, we, of course, get Ahsoka, and, Ahsoka and Huyang going on about, and Ahsoka mentioning to Huyang about what he sensed and what he didn't say to Hera about Sabine. She willingly went with them, and, not that she intentionally did so. It's all because, she really wanted to find Ezra, and like we said early on, and also because with Huyang, because, well, he had been, helping and training Jedis with their lightsabers for thousands of years, and, even, like, the early days of the Republic and such, and, and how the whole thing of, like, stories of the space whales were brought up, and Huyang used to tell those stories, from 1 to 3, and how number 1, according to Ahsoka, was the best one. So of course we get after that, because no more of Ahsoka in this episode, because now the focus is put on Sabine being the main focus, along with, of course, the main antagonists, and they, of course, make their destination, because where they arrive, and because, far, far, and you know what? Because I can't forget to say this. It's great. Right before the title of the show pops up, because how Huyang says, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. What'd you think on that, Anchorman?
It's like Star Wars always has in the movies, like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's like it's nice to see that they reference it on a Star Wars media finally, which is cool.
Yes, absolutely. And so the planet that they travel, that's billions of, thousands of light years, I want to say, it is pretty far away. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it's really far away.
Exactly, yeah. So the planet, which being Paradia, am I saying that right? Do you know the how to say that, the name of that planet?
I'm not good at saying the planet names.
What's that now?
I'm not good with saying the planet names.
Me neither. So, again, as I said, you know us sometimes. So, Paridi, I might be close, but still, you know. So basically, like, yeah, this planet once hosted the Witch Kingdom, I'm reading the description of this, of the Dathomiri, if I'm saying that right, long before time was recorded, but it also served as a graveyard for the Purgile. The planet was grim and barren, yet hosted an impressive array of alien life forms, including Ezra and Thrawn, following their exile, while many questions about parody have been answered in Ahsoka. The biggest mystery is who or what is called Balin. Whatever this dark power is, it's supposedly enough to frighten the Imperials, and could end up being the real villain of Ahsoka. Parody is a fascinating world that will be developed more in Ahsoka or another Star Wars project. So yeah, that's the description on that planet. So again, they all make, like, you know, they make their destination to the planet. You know, Balin, Shin, Sabine, all those making their way, and yeah, so they finally make their destination, and well, because they meet with these three witches, and great to see, because how we see the witches, how they look in live action. Like, you have anything to say on those three witches?
They actually remind me very well of, like, what we see the Night Sisters in like, the Clone Wars, and I think they got their designs really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So these three witches, I'm pretty sure this has to be them, yeah, because Akertape, Clothau, and Lachesis, I might be getting their names closely right, I don't know. Being played, they're all played by Jane Edwina Seymour, Claudia Black, and Cheryl Prescott. Sounds about right, yeah. So, yeah, and to now get to this, well, Star Destroyer, kind of weathered and torn apart, kind of, you know, because how it looks. It shows up, and we see these army of stormtroopers, and one of them being the captain, which being Captain Enoch, I think, yeah, sounds about right. Captain Enoch, and the look and design of the, like, it's still a stormtrooper helmet, but just the front piece of it, you know, like, anything to say on the captain?
He looks really cool. I like the golden armor plate on his face.
Yeah.
He looks like
that's what it is.
Guard or something.
Yeah, that's what it is, and his voice, like, yeah. And the captain being played by West Chatham, yeah. And of course, the moment has come. The wait is over. We finally see him, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and of course, Grand Admiral Thrawn, this time in live action, because he first voiced him in Rebels, and now for him to finally play him in live action, Lars Mikkelsen. And of course he doesn't disappoint, and how he looks in live action. Okay, what are the first things we have to say about him, starting with you?
I really like Thrawn. Like, he started off as just a character from the EU in the books, and
yes,
he finally made it the Rebels, and now to see him in a live action, like, that's crazy.
Absolutely.
And the way it looks awesome. It definitely looks like Thrawn.
Yeah. Besides, like, you know, I feel like maybe there have been not that many, but just a few people who they had to say something about how he looks in live action. I mean, who wouldn't, you know? But come on, he looks fine. I mean, Grand Admiral Thrawn has had kind of different designs and looks, and especially in animation, because how he looked in Rebels and in Tales of the Empire. Well, and especially because how he appeared in the books, if you get what I'm saying, so...
Yes.
And that goes for every other character who's been in live action and in animation. So, like, you know, Ahsoka, Cad Bane, need I go on? So, you know... Speaking of which, might as well mention this, because with some Easter eggs, the one that comes to my mind, did you happen to notice this, Anchorman? Because apparently, even when I was watching Ahsoka, now I knew about this even before I continued watching it. However, I did not see it. I'll have to go back and look, and I have to look and see which episode it was that had this one Easter egg that comes to mind, my mind that is. We actually see a photograph, a picture of Kanan Jarrus.
I recently just learned about this, and I was super shocked, because, like, I thought we'd never get live action Kanan Jarrus, but, like, I guess we have it in some form through this Easter egg.
Yeah, so apparently, yeah, because a photograph of Kanan Jarrus, which they use the likeness of Freddie Prinze Jr., and rightfully so, it's in there, so that's nice to see. And yeah, because Freddie Prinze Jr. and where he's at now with Kanan, that's another story, but anyways.
Yep.
You know about that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, come on, Freddie. Just, and I'm sure you guys know what we're talking about. Just come on, Freddie. What's with you? Not that we're trying to, just bear with us. Anyways, yeah. So, seeing Grand Admiral Thrawn make his live-action debut, and, because what they're planning to do, and because they're planning to get out of that star system and make their destination where they're supposed to go in the main part of Star Wars in that galaxy, and, because they're not quite ready. And also because, Thrawn is informed about Sabine being, as a prisoner, and, because, Baylan said that, he promised Sabine, still, because we obviously knew what would happen, and Thrawn, for the first time, meeting Baylan and Shin, and, because Sabine being brought in and, meeting with Thrawn once again, and what happens next is, he apparently lets Sabine go and have her go on her way. And a good reason, obviously, and how I'm putting at it, because, because she's obviously gonna, travel and try to find Ezra. And, because later on, Thrawn and the others, they will plan on executing and killing Sabine and Ezra. Does that sound about right with what I said?
Yeah, that's what Thrawn wants to do.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's obvious. So, yeah, Sabine going along her way, and she is riding a howler. And that one howler, anything to say on the howlers in this?
Not sure, but maybe you could say.
Well, I mean, because, she rides on a howler, like a wolf type.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
Yes.
It's like a bull or something, like a horse or something she could ride.
It's like a wolf kind of creature,
Yeah.
And even the howler that she rides on acts more like a dog. So, and even at one point, she came face to face with these bandits. Anything on the bandits?
They just get into a fight scene with Sabine, and
they do, and
it's a quick scene or something.
It is she's ambushed, so. And even the howler, it got scared and it ran away like a coward. But even when, she took care of the bandits, she killed them, she proceeds on. And it's pretty funny because the howler, it's following her again. And even, Sabine, confronting and setting that howler straight. No, because you ran like a coward and such, and, was telling the howler not to keep following her. But the howler just disobeys, and, Sabine can't help but to, still have the howler follow her and such. And, of course, sure enough, the howler does help out Sabine smell something and such. And up until they come face to face with, clearly, because it's what they are. It's Star Wars' own version of, hermit crabs, I want to say. Does that sound about right?
They remind me of, little trolls.
Yeah, but still, because, when I say hermit crabs, because they've clearly got the body and look of a hermit crab, and those eyes and the shells, so...
Yeah, I can see your point.
Yeah, thank you. So, they come face to face with them, and it turns out, and even one of the one that they meet, they're green, because one of them notices the rebel symbol on Sabine. And, happen to have the same thing too, and it turns out they know about Ezra Bridger, and there's more that pops up out of their shells, and they take Sabine along, to where they're residing at for now, their, little village, and, sure enough, we finally see Ezra, and Ezra and Sabine are reunited, and it's great to see. Anything on that, because where we finally see Ezra right there?
So to meet the guy who played Ezra was even a greater charm to finally see Ezra in this. Once I saw Ezra, I was like, yes, finally. I was pure happy when I saw this moment.
Yep. Ever since, and here's the thing, ever since the ending to Rebels and what happened with Ezra and Thrawn traveling thousands of light years, and how long we had to wait until that could continue. The story where, well, because they're trying to find Ezra, and finally, after a couple of years, we finally got to see it happening. I mean, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yes. So, yeah, and continuing on, because, well, by this point, because Baylan and Shin, they're on Sabine's tail, they're following her, and, well, they do come face to face with more of those bandits, and, well, they briefly form an alliance, even as Baylan said best, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, for now, because, yeah, that's the thing, for now, and in other words, for now, they're briefly forming an alliance with these bandits to track down and find Sabine and Ezra, yeah, so, anything else to say on what continues on in this episode, Anchorman?
So, like, Baylan forms an alliance with those pirate guys earlier, as we saw.
Yeah. Both Baylan and Shin.
Like, I think like that's what leads to the next episode, where it's like a big battle between our characters.
Yeah, but you know what? In closing, because to wrap and go, we can go ahead and wrap up episode 6/part 6. Yeah, that was a pretty good episode. Did you think that was a pretty good one, part 6?
Yeah, it was easily a great episode for sure.
Absolutely, and even though we still got Ahsoka at the only at the beginning, but throughout the rest of it, it's centered on Sabine and with Thrawn, and up until because when Ezra finally came back. So that was pretty good. So yeah, episode 6/part 6, Far, Far Away, really good, and especially with the title, Far, Far Away. So, okay, two more left. Episode 7/part 7, Dreams and Madness. Story: Hera must answer to the New Republic while a reunion takes place far, far away. Okay, we'll come to you, Anchorman, of course. What are the first things you have to say?
I really like this episode as well because it's a shorter one, but we still get awesome scenes between Ahsoka reuniting with Ezra and finally meeting up with Sabine.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also seeing what Hera's up to when she's literally about to get demoted from the Republic, all because she helped Ahsoka and Sabine, but she's trying to fight her way through it.
Yes.
Her case, basically.
Mm-hmm. And, well, literally, because that being the start of this episode, because at this court, and how it seems like Hera is this close, and any chance, for it to happen, her being removed from rank and such. Because Captain Carson is there to help out Hera, and once again, that one Senator a-hole being there, of course, and, Senator Siono, yeah, and even Mon Mothma, she hates being a part of this and doing this, obviously, don't you think?
Yeah, she just doesn't want to put up these senators.
Exactly, yeah. And it was great to see him because a familiar face, need I say a familiar golden droid shows up, speaking on behalf of Leia Organa, C-3PO, and C-3PO once again being played by Anthony Daniels. C-3PO stepping in and, on behalf of Senator Organa, yeah, because Leia is Senator by this point, and, because obviously Leia is well aware of Hera's situation, and, because 3PO speaking on behalf of Leia Organa, because basically setting Siono straight, and boy, because with what she gave to 3PO and spoke it to the court and such, and to that senator, boy, because that took care of everything. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it does. I just like how Leia, even though she's not in this, but she gets a mention, and she fixes the whole issue, which was very cool of her.
Yep. And even Senator Siono, because I think it's obvious, like, he knew by this point that, well, there's really nothing he can do by this point, and, well, he knows that he can't mess with someone like with Senator Leia, so...
Mm-hmm.
And knowing Leia, because, Leia being one tough cookie, so you don't want to mess with someone like Leia, so...
No.
What's that?
I say, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And about C-3PO, like, what'd you think on C-3PO's appearance in this?
It came out of nowhere, but, like, I still liked it. It was nice seeing a return of C-3PO. We haven't seen him in a while, but it was nice.
Yeah, and in case you did or did not forget, yeah, because he did technically make a very quick appearance in, I think in episode 1 of the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah, it's just a cameo.
Exactly. Yeah, nothing too major. Like, he, obviously because he'd be present on Alderaan, yeah. And well, I mean, hey, because for both for each of them, C-3PO and R2-D2 making appearances in some of the Star Wars shows, and for a good reason, and rightfully so. Yeah, so good to see, because, R2, because he made a good chunk of appearances in The Mandalorian, and now for C-3PO to technically do the same thing too, because that cameo appearance he made at the start of this episode of Ahsoka, yeah. And even after the court's over, because Mon Mothma having a little chat with Hera, and she's starting to really suspect if this is true or not, like, Thrawn supposedly returning, and it seems as though that it could possibly be happening. And little do they know what's going on thousands of light years, far, far in a galaxy far, far away. So, and after that opening sequence, and because coming back to that planet, and by this point, the space whales, along with them, because helping out Hugh-Han and Ahsoka, they've made their destination. But when they get out of hyperspace, well, something is happening. They can see throughout the space whale's mouth that, well, something is happening. And, well, that turns out to be detonator, like, Imperial bombs, set to go off like any approaching ship, that whole thing. And, God, feel so bad for the space whales. And even Hugh Hanks said something that, at least they're covering for us. Then right after he said that, the space whales, they all went into hyperspace. And, right as Hugh Hang, after he said that was pretty funny, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Hugh Hang. So it's not like he did it intentionally. How was he supposed to know? So it's true.
Nope.
Yeah. And because them just trying to get to the planet's surface, and yeah, I think at that point, because like they are kind of detected and such, but they manage to escape from them and such, and bail them and so on. And well, on the planet's surface with Ezra and Sabine reunited, them and those hermit crab creatures, because they basically, their homes, their huts, they're actually like vehicles and such. They can travel and such on the planet, and that's what they do. And to speed things up, because yeah, Ahsoka and Hugh Hang, because they finally make their destination on the planet's surface, they are detected once again, and when they arrive, because, well, like what happened in the first episode, Ahsoka telling Hugh Hang to, land, like, get the ship down below, and for her to, jump off and such. So, and that's what she does. And she once again comes face to face with Baylan, and another like little conversation between them, and another lightsaber duel, like anything on that, and with what I've said so far.
It's a cool scene. I'd just like to mention during the scene of like Sabine and Ezra reuniting in this episode, we get mentions of like what the other Ghost crew is up to. We at least got to mention this Zeb, like what he's up to, and then like they mentioned like Palpatine and the Empire falling. I thought that was cool.
Exactly, yeah, and I was going to mention that too. Like Zeb was mentioned, right?
Yeah, it was.
I think I totally missed that, the mentioning of Zeb, but clearly, because Zeb had to be mentioned, so, and good to see. Yeah. So, do you remember exactly what it was, like, with what's going on with Zeb and what Sabine said?
I think he just said, he and she just said, like, how Zeb is just working with a group of like rebels, like new recruits.
Yeah, and which how it was it was shown, like you can see in with like the getup that Zeb has in his cameo appearance in that one episode of The Mandalorian season 3. So and he, because he had that little chat with Captain Carson. So yeah. Anyways, so yeah, it's nice to see because Ezra had to be caught up on what the heck had been going on after so many years after he and Thrawn were, they were exiled and such. So yeah, and and even like because him finding out because Sabine had having to be Ahsoka's apprentice and such. And yeah, coming back to Ahsoka because her taking on Baylan some more, and up until, Hugh Hang making a turn, and he helped out Ahsoka, like, fire upon Baylan, and Ahsoka did escape because she stole the one howler that Baylan was riding on, and for right now, that's the last we see of Baylan, so technically he was kind of defeated, so, because even, like, yeah, because for Shin, her once again taking on Ahsoka, and that's the thing, because Shin and those bandits, they ambush and they attack Ezra and Sabine, and Sabine informing Ezra that Shin, well, she's a Sith and she's not a good person and so on. And Ezra, for right now, because he doesn't need to have a lightsaber, because, for him, it's the Force, and how he's easily, like, dodging and taking on Shin, and with Sabine taking on those bandits and such. And then, of course, Ahsoka finally stepping in, not only reuniting with Sabine, but also Ezra, and all three of them taking on Shin and those bandits, and up until stormtroopers, reinforcements, show up, and, yeah. And up until, because of Thrawn's commands, like ordering them to retreat and, retreat and so on, and yeah, anything on that sequence?
That's a cool sequence. Like, I just like to say a fun fact. During this scene, I have a friend online who has his own YouTube channel. He actually got to be an extra in this scene.
Oh, did he?
As a stormtrooper. Yeah, he did.
Get out of here. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. So, yeah, it's like, this had nothing to do, if you are familiar with this had nothing to do with, like, say, the 501st?
No, it's like a completely different army.
Yeah, I don't know, it popped in my head, and I just thought I'd throw that out. I'm just saying, because...
I'd also like to say, I love the line Ezra makes where he says, "The Force is my ally." Like, I love that line.
Yeah, good line. And more on your friend, like, what was his experience like being a part of that, being an extra?
He got to, like, try on, like, I think he said in an interview he did, I saw where he said he got to test out, like a clone trooper outfit.
Huh.
Like, it was the stormtrooper outfit we see in this episode, and I think he just got to be, like, an extra on this show, and he said he got to meet Dave Filoni.
Cool. What was it that he did as an extra? Was he a stormtrooper?
Yeah, he was just an extra.
In that sequence?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was also in the scene where, like, all the stormtroopers come together. When we first see them, when Thrawn appears.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously. So, is there a specific, and if you know this, Anchorman, is there a specific name for those stormtroopers under Thrawn's command?
I'm not sure. I think they're just, like, his own elite force.
Yeah, because, I don't seem to recall if the show did establish and mention the name of those specific stormtroopers. They are still stormtroopers, but still. But anyways, that's really cool, because, and you heard it right there, guys, because a friend of Anchorman's, and any of you that follow Anchorman, and if any of you, I doubt, but if any few of you, I'm pretty sure that sounds about right, even know about this. So, anyways.
Yeah.
So after that, because, yeah, once they retreat, Shin and those stormtroopers, because Ezra... because I meant to say Ahsoka. Ahsoka not only reuniting with Sabine, but also reuniting with Ezra. And, because Hugh Hang, of course, stepping in. And And from there on, because, yeah, and, well, this is the first time that Ezra is meeting and interacting with Hugh Hang, and he's learning so much from Hugh Hang, because knowing Hugh Hang and a little bit of his backstory and such, obviously. And, well, and them still tagging along with those hermit crab creatures still, proceeding on to their destination and such, and also making their way to the location of that giant hyperspace ring and, where Thrawn is. Well, even at a certain point, because they once again go in for an attack, and this especially, causes damage to the ship that they're flying in, that Jedi cruiser, specifically for Jedi, that Hugh Hang and Ahsoka were flying in. So yeah, another ambush, and because they of course take care of them and such, and even because, again, the ship getting damaged, it did crash. Sabine and Hugh Hang were still on that ship, and Ezra and Ahsoka, they were using the Force, to try and hold it and such, and, well, even Sabine had an idea to, fly and kind of, hit those ships, and TIE fighters, yeah, but do you have anything to say on that sequence?
I kind of knew the ship was going to get shot down, because I feel like it would give our characters a reason to, maybe, I don't know, it could lead to another storyline where they have to find their way out of the system of the planet they're trapped on.
Of course. But at the same time, it's a good thing that ship was not really damaged. It was still in one piece, so, yeah, at least it wasn't that badly damaged, and there had to be, a couple of repairs done to it, so that's of course, what happens. Well, because by this point, they have to continue on, Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine. Because I think, we're by this point finished with part 7. Any last things to say on part 7?
It was a really good episode, and I like seeing our characters reunite in this episode.
Absolutely, yeah. Episode 7, / part 7, fingers, Dreams and Madness. It was good. It was a really good episode, and for how just further things are getting and how intense they are and such, And now, finally, 7 down, 1 to go. Episode 8 / part 8, The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. Story: the heroes race to prevent Grand Admiral Thrawn's escape. Okay, so the 8th and final episode of Season 1. Okay, once again, turn to you, Anchorman. What are the first things you have to say about the 8th and final episode, the Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord?
It's a really good finale. It basically kind of just, it's where all the characters come together in, a sort of, final battle, and it sets up other future stories, which I'm excited to get. Absolutely,
because... Yeah, and like I said, because where I said, by this point, Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine, after the destruction of the ship, that Hugh Hang and Ahsoka were riding in, the Jedi cruiser and such, they have to proceed on to Howlers, and thus, making their way. And also, at one point, Morgan Elsbeth was brought back in as a witch. You know what I'm talking about, and anything to say on that?
Don't they use something to use her powers or something or that's just her magic?
Yeah, and in other words, restate her as one of them, so full time, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what happens, and with that, and still, because Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine proceeding on to confront Thrawn and so on, but of course, they of course fire upon them and such, but of course, they managed to get inside of there, and it was great because the stormtroopers, an ambush of stormtroopers, trying to attack them and kill them, and of course, you know, and with all three of them, and especially with Ezra using lightsabers, well, because they kill them, of course, to take them down. But what the witches do, they resurrect them, make them zombies. Anything on that?
It reminds me of like the zombies you see in the Star Wars novel Death Troopers.
Yes.
It's like, it reminds me of that, but like it's like their own twist of like Night Sister magic. It's like something we never thought we'd see in live action.
Yeah, and technically it was in the Clone Wars, if you remember that.
It was. The massacre episode.
Exactly, zombies. Night Sisters, like witch zombies, Night Sisters, I tell you, so creepy. So the stormtroopers being resurrected, and you know them still trying to fight them off, even though they can't really take them down. Although them running away and closing the blast doors and such, yeah, and at one point, because like stormtroopers who are not undead, because them taking on Ezra, Sabine, and Ahsoka. And fun fact, it's one of them, one of the stormtroopers who is not an undead stormtrooper. Okay, because one of them. Because a little fun fact, and especially this was after working on season 1 of Ahsoka, one of those actors who was a stormtrooper, who played a stormtrooper. He's in a relationship with Natasha, you know, who plays Sabine Wren.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I found out about this. I heard about this on Facebook and such. Yeah, it's nice to see, like, love at first sight while doing this. So, yeah. It's true. So they proceed on, and, because at one point, because they once again come face-to-face with Morgan, and, of course, Morgan, now being reinstated back as a full-blown witch and such, because, you know, once again, Morgan and Ahsoka, you know, having a little duel and such with the weapon that Morgan has, like the Night Sister type of weapon, and Ahsoka insisting on Sabine and Ezra proceeding on to take on Thrawn, but even though, because Sabine at first insisted that they stick together, but Ahsoka insisted they proceed on, which they do, and, you know, Ahsoka's got this. She took on Morgan before, so... So she once again taking on Morgan, and for Ezra and Sabine making their way up top, and because you know, taking on more stormtroopers, but also trying to jump up top the Star Destroyer, and and also because by using the Force, and actually because when they were taking on more of those. Yeah, because I almost forgot, because, like, them taking on more of those, like, tough droids, and by this point, that's when Sabine really, for sure, has the Force, and by, you know, using the Force to retrieve her lightsaber and such, like, wasn't that cool, because how it's now she does have the Force in her?
Yeah, some people were, like, complaining over Sabine using the Force in this, but, like, I didn't see what the problem was. I just feel the Force works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
For Sabine. Yep.
I didn't have neither did I. I had no complaint on that either. Like, come on, guys. I'm just saying. And again, like I said, because them trying to, you know, jump up top, even though it's a really big jump, but in order to do so, because, like, Sabine tells Ezra to jump first, and, you know, he does so, jumping, but even though he's just didn't make it, Sabine using the Force to lift him up and such, and thus, yeah, he's up top there, and now it's Sabine's turn. But Ahsoka and Morgan, they made their way there, and, Sabine, she really wants to help Ahsoka, and, because more stormtroopers stepping in, and, like, you know, what's going to happen next, you know, like, is Ahsoka defeated by Morgan and such? Well, no, and especially since Sabine does stay behind and helps out Ahsoka take on Morgan and the stormtroopers, and by the end, with Ahsoka still taking on Morgan, Ahsoka finally kills Morgan. Morgan is done for. Anything on that?
I was surprised they killed her off, because I thought she'd be in, like, more stories, but, like, I guess they decided to kill her off. And the way she died, it was brutal. Like, she just gets an instant slash to the chest, and then boom, she's gone.
Yeah, and of course the witches, the Night Sisters, they can sense that Morgan is dead, and thus, telling Thrawn, and what he had to say, because, yeah, well, I mean, how he says it, understandable, the part that she played in, so, and, well, with Ezra being on the ship, on the Star Destroyer, well, because there is, like, a couple of stormtroopers that he takes down, and he even, like, pretends to be the one stormtrooper and such, and, yeah, so, and he thanks that dead stormtrooper, so, and, well, we know what he's gonna do next, like, and he found a way, because by putting on that stormtrooper armor, and, well, because... finding a way back home and such. Like, he obviously, because, like, snuck his way out of the Star Destroyer, even without Thrawn and the witches knowing. That's the thing. And, well, Ahsoka and Sabine, they escape the stormtroopers by making a jump, and perfect timing, because Huyang, he, by this point, and along with those hermit crab-like creatures, they fixed up the ship, and, Huyang arrives, and, well... part of that because it crumbled and with the stormtroopers going down, so that part, so and they of course chase down the Star Destroyer, and Thrawn orders an opening channel to the ship, Ahsoka, and so on, and well, him speaking and like interacting with Ahsoka, kind of like, and that's like, you think, and I think for some people, even I was kind of thinking so too, like, if Ahsoka and Thrawn were going to meet face-to-face. Did you think so too, Anchorman, at first?
I thought they were, but, like, I guess, I don't know, they might be setting it up for, if they do season 2, we could maybe see it.
Possibly. Yeah, probably so. And by this point, yeah, because as you're watching this, yeah, it's happened in season 2. So anyways. So Thrawn giving a little, like, message to Ahsoka. Of course, her, Huyang, and Sabine, they can hear this. And, what Thrawn is planning to do and such. And, any risk of, Thrawn still being alive and risking and any chance of another war starting. And, well, getting attached to the hyperspace ring. And, well... the hyperspace ring, like, with it and the Star Destroyer going into hyperspace. And because Ahsoka, Sabine, and Huyang, they were that close, well, because of it going into hyperspace, it, that, like, blast wave and all that, it damages their ship. And, well, they're once again stuck on the planet. And until they would eventually get out of there, so, and back to their home and so on. What happens at the end of the episode, because, well... well, we see that Ezra, he has returned and is reunited with Hera, because they're not sure who it is. Like, probably it is a stormtrooper, and gun pointing at him, and Chopper going up to Ezra in the stormtrooper suit, and Chopper then starts to immediately realize that it is Ezra, and by taking off the helmet, Hera and everybody, they're shocked to see that it's him, and, hi, Hera. I'm home, and wasn't that great, that was a pretty good scene, right, where he reunites with Hera, and yeah, he's officially home.
Yes, that was a great scene. It was like a nice way of saying, like, Ezra's finally back in the galaxy. Yep.
And after that, well, we see Thrawn and the witches, because they've made their way back and to the... Do you remember the planet that they arrive at?
I think it's Dathomir?
Yeah, Dathomir. Yeah, good. You remembered. Yeah, because they make their destination, well, because what Thrawn is going to do now, like, what is he going to do now? Well, he's obviously going to do something really bad, and it's just going to be terrible, so, anyways. And back on the planet that they were at, in a galaxy far, far away, because we do once again see Baylan and Shin where they're at, and Shin, well, she once again teams up with those bandits. And for Baylan, well, he's he's somewhere, and he's actually... The location of where he's actually at these big, like, rock statues of the Father and one of the Son, of the Force. Do you remember that?
The Mortis gods?
That's right, yeah, the Mortis gods. That was pretty interesting, yeah, so who'd have thought that there would be rock, like, statues of them, so... Well, because the last sequence, well, because seeing Ahsoka and Sabine and Hugh Hang still there and with those hermit crab-like creatures, and how, because working out on, preparing to, disembark and such, and, another conversation between Sabine and Ahsoka, and yeah, everything is really turning out good for both of them, and how Ahsoka is proud of Sabine of what she's done, because even though they didn't get Thrawn, he made his destination, well, aside from that, they failed on trying to get Thrawn, at least, they got Ezra back home, and especially it's thanks to Sabine, so, and, even, say, there was one moment a little bit earlier where Ahsoka came face-to-face with Morai. Am I saying the name right? The owl?
Yes, the owl.
Yeah, because Morai being this mysterious owl, obviously Morai clearly is in connections with the daughter of the Mortis gods. And Morai, always, sometimes helping out Ahsoka and so on. And Morai making an appearance. And nice to see Morai, that type of, owl, Star Wars is the owl of Star Wars, be in live action. That was great to see. And and at the end of it, because after a little conversation between Sabine and Ahsoka, Sabine is sensing something. And even Ahsoka wondering what it was that she was sensing, and Ahsoka starting to look out there and sense, and I think she did realize what that was about and such, and when they walk back to Hugh Hang and those hermit crab-like creatures, well, we see Anakin's Force Ghost, because we once again see Anakin Skywalker, his Force Ghost and such, Hayden Christensen, and that was a nice way to end it, and with, seeing Anakin's Force Ghost, don't you think?
Yeah, it was awesome. We're seeing Anakin as a Force Ghost again.
Absolutely. And do you think yeah, because that's what Ahsoka was sensing, that Anakin was present?
Yeah, I honestly wish we could have saw a scene where maybe she does talk to Force Ghost Anakin, but also her not seeing it, maybe in a mysterious way. I felt like that was also good too.
Yeah, both her and Sabine, because Sabine was sensing something too. So, and which being Anakin's Force Ghost, and Anakin's Force Ghost, staring at Ahsoka and such, and he is proud of Ahsoka, no doubt about it. And what a heck of a way to end off that the 8th and final episode right there, don't you think?
I agree.
Yep. And yeah, great way to end it right there. And also a quick mentioning of the directors, because and those who worked on the show, because yeah, Dave Filoni obviously directing a couple of episodes. Also, Jida V. Patel, Rosario Dawson, she's apparently listed in here. Did she direct an episode?
She might have. I don't know. I have to look. I think Dave Filoni mainly directed the episodes.
Well, yeah, he did, but there were others that directed. Yeah, but, hats off to the directors, and also Kevin Kiner, because Kevin Kiner doing the music and score for us for the Ahsoka series, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, yeah, the Ahsoka series, and in season 1, it did not disappoint. Like I said, it was great with what the first season had in store, the continuation of what happened and where it left off in Rebels, finding Ezra and Thrawn, and how we finally got to see that happening. Once again, seeing Thrawn and Ezra, where they were at, and how, in the end of season 1, Ezra returned home. And, well, because the same thing now, because Ahsoka and Sabine have to do the same thing, too, and Hugh Hang, of course, all three of them. And to finally see the rest of the Rebels characters, the Ghost crew, that is, to finally appear in live action. Just, yeah. And the intenseful stuff, the emotion, the funny moments, the funny/emotional moments, I should say, the music, the action, just everything about season 1 of Ahsoka, just fantastic. And now we'll come to you, Anchorman. What are the last things and final thoughts and such you have to say about Ahsoka season 1?
I think I really love this show. It finally answers what we've been I've been looking for Star Wars Rebels, and it's very cool to see the live action Rebels crew. And I think there's a lot to love for this show, and definitely a lot of good setup for future stories. And I look forward to what they do next for this story for sure.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. And how do we rate it? I mean, with season 1, starting with you.
I think I'd give it. It's hard. Like maybe a 9. Because I think it took like a few episodes to get really into it. Like the first few episodes, they were good, but I feel it gets a lot better as it goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a good point there. Yeah, for me, because that is a good question. It's tough because what the heck? I mean, again, I had no problem with all those episodes, even the ones that you said, because what you said about them. I mean, I had no problem with it, and it's my opinion because I'm giving season 1 of Ahsoka 10 out of 10 stars. 10 out of 10 stars for Ahsoka. So there you go. So, that's a good rating. Excuse me, that's a good rating too. 9 out of 10 for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yes.
So for Anchorman, it's 9 out of 10, and for me, 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10 / 10 out of 10, both each of us for season 1 of Ahsoka. And what about you guys? What did you think of the first season of Ahsoka? Did you enjoy it? Did you kind of had a few problems with what was going on in some of those episodes, and like what Anchorman said, I mean, and were you just so hyped and excited for what season 1 had in store, who appeared, and all the action and shocking moments and such, just everything that me and Anchorman had to say about the entirety of season 1. And what did you think of our review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed our review of season 1 of Ahsoka. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and we'll see you guys in the next video / review. And Anchorman, thank you so much for joining me for this. It was great to have you for this.
Thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure, and we finally got to review this.
For sure. Absolutely. Finally got to review this, and couldn't have picked a perfect timing to do it on Star Wars Day. Yeah, couldn't have picked a perfect time. And any last words saying, say goodbye?
Farewell.
Yeah, he says that for me. Again, thank you very much for watching. Happy Star Wars Day to all of you. Take care, and until season 2 of Ahsoka, peace out. And may the Force be with you.
Always.